Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Muhammad Dipo Hasbi from class 33 6B07 with student number 33 220176. Today I want to discuss problem solving in applied linguistics. So let's continue. The first problem. Mr. Thompson is a linguist studying the use of language in news reporting. He is particularly interested in how language can convey bias, shape public opinion, and influence the perception of news events. Mr. Thompson analyzed articles from various news outlets covering the same events to identify linguistic patterns that may indicate bias. He also considers the impact of these linguistic choices on the audience's understanding and interpretation of the news. So the question is, what linguistic features should Mr. Thompson focus on to identify bias in news reporting? Discuss at least three features and explain how they can contribute to biased reporting. So, the first features is word choice and loaded language. Single words and phrases selected by reporters have the ability to impact people's mind in a big way. Loaded language is the use of words strongly positive or strongly negative to label individuals, events, or problems in a given matter. For example, labeling a group of labeling a group of individuals freedom fighters instead of terrorists, or speaking of an illegal immigrant instead of an undocumented worker has the ability to move the audience emotionally and create their attitude towards the topic. How how these features contribute to bias? Loaded language can unconsciously lead readers to believe a particular thing, often without their realization. It can make one side of an argument seem more valid or emphatic and present the other in a negative light. So, the second features that Mr. Thompson should consider is framing and selective presentation of facts. Framing refers to how journalists structure and frame information. For example, which facts are highlighted, omitted, or foregrounded. This can involve the utilization of factive verbs or presupposing the truth of a statement, entailment, assertive verbs, and subjective intensifiers. Framing refers to how reporters structure and provide information, and which facts are being highlighted, omitted, or thrust into prominence. This can involve factive verbs, fact verbs that assume the truth of the statement, entailment, assertive verbs, and subjective intensifiers. What facts are selected and where they are positioned can generate one-sided reporting, whereby only certain perspectives are featured. How these features contribute to the bias? By selectively presenting facts or showing events in a particular way, media can predispose people to certain conclusions, generally by championing what is already accepted or supporting existing agendas. Omission of counter-argument or alternative views can limit audience knowledge and result in a skewed perception of reality. Third features is subjectivity and polarity. Subjectivity is the presence of opinions, feeling, or personal judgment in reporting, in contrast with objective, fact-based language. Polarity is the use of favorable or unfavorable words to describe people, organization, or events. For instance, news report may use more favorable adjectives for favored persons and unfavorable adjectives to describe opposing individuals. How subjectivity and polarity result and contribute to the bias? High polarity and high subjectivity can be a marker of an unbalanced report. It can influence readers' attitudes by leaning towards the implicit or explicit position of the journalist rather than allowing readers to come to their own conclusion based on unbiased information. The conclusion from the three features for the first problem is through careful observation of this element, Mr. Thompson can identify pattern of bias and better understanding how language used within news reporting shapes public opinion and creates the impression that news events can leave on audience. We continue to the second problem. Imagine you are a language planner working for the government of a country with diverse linguistic landscape. The country has several indigenous languages spoken by different ethnic groups, as well as dominant national language used for official purposes. Your task is to develop a language policy that promotes linguistic diversity while ensuring effective communication and national unity. The question is, how can the government promote the use and preservation of indigenous languages through education? The first is multilingual and mother tongue based language. Integrate indigenous languages of medium as mediums of instruction, especially in early childhood and primary education. Early exposure is critical for language acquisition and intergenerational transmission, as demonstrated by successful programs like New Zealand's Kangaroo for Maori children. Develop curricula and teaching materials in indigenous languages to ensure that students can learn core subjects through their mother tongue, which also enhance cognitive development and academic achievement. And then the next one is teacher training and community involvement. Train and certify teachers who are fluent in indigenous languages and culturally competent to deliver instruction effectively. Engage community elders and language experts as mentors and co-educators to ensure cultural authenticity and to pass on traditional knowledge alongside language skills. The next one is higher education and research. Create university and college programs in indigenous language to train future teachers, researchers, and language advocates. Support research and documentation projects to develop dictionaries, grammar, and digital archives, ensuring the long-term survival and accessibility of indigenous languages. The last one is cultural promotion and media integration. Incorporate indigenous language into school, cultural activities, media, and digital platforms to increase their visibility and everyday use among youth. Celebrate indigenous language through festivals, competitions, and public events to foster pride and community engagement. By embedding indigenous language in the education system through these strategies, the government can help ensure the preservation, foster cultural identity, and promote social cohesion while maintaining effective national communication. Okay, that's all from me to problem to this problem solving. These are the reference that I took to answer it. Thank you very much for joining my presentation. Have a nice day.